It's what we're all trying to achieve. Starving fat in our body, but not starving ourselves. Losing weight, but becoming healthier in the process. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. Hey Wellness Warrior, I'm Dr. Zyrowski, and starving fat but not starving yourself in the process of losing weight is something that we're all trying to achieve. Now, as we get older, we start to lose lean muscle mass. Losing muscle is a sign of poor health, whereas actually losing fat is a sign of good health. And if we actually want to have good cardiovascular health and reduce our risk of disease, we actually want to lose the fat on our body. And so how do we accomplish this and become healthier in the whole process? Let's go ahead and talk about first your blood sugar. So first, we want to drop your blood sugar down really low, because we know that if we drop our blood sugar down really low, it actually helps you lower your insulin. And if you want to actually be able to even access fat storage to burn it for energy and starve that off your body, we have to have low insulin levels. So it all starts with, how can we accomplish this? And this can be accomplished through intermittent fasting. When we intermittent fast and we abstain from sugar and carbs and food and beverages that are going to spike blood sugar, we drop our blood sugar, we drop our insulin, and then our body has no choice, when trying to keep us alive and keep our energy levels up, to actually access the fat stores on your body. So the question becomes, how can we do this the most efficiently? Well, we're going to look to intermittent fasting and the best fasting time. And the reason that this topic is pretty interesting, because we have to fast long enough to actually really tap into the fat stores. But if we fast too long, we can find ourselves in a position where we're actually starting to tap into muscle stores. There was a lot of different studies out there that showed us that urea nitrogen in the body actually started to increase after fasting for a certain period of time. And what that means and why it's significant is simply because urea nitrogen is a byproduct of muscle breakdown, protein breakdown. When we start seeing these urea nitrogen levels start to rise in the body, it starts to tell us that not only are we actually maybe burning some fat, but we're also starting to break down muscle. And what was shown in the studies is that after a 24-hour period of fasting, urea nitrogen started to increase. This is significant because that means that we start to have some muscle breakdown after 24 hours. Many of the studies out there show that this urea nitrogen doesn't actually start to increase significantly to maybe like the third, fourth, fifth day and beyond with fasting. So the question becomes, well, how long do I need to fast in order to maintain good health and get healthy and starve the fat cells off? The answer is that if you want to do it on a regular basis and really get some good results and not break down lean muscle tissue, a 24-hour fast is a really good way to go. And so one of the things I like to even do personally is a 24-hour fast once a week. I'll do this even with my patients. Typically for me, a Wednesday is a good day for some reason. And then when I look at what else you could potentially do is even a 48-hour fast. So you don't really have to step into the realm of doing like a 72-hour fast and beyond that in order to actually start starving the fat cells, because we want to become metabolically healthy, and we also don't want to be in a position where we're pushing our body so far that our body literally thinks that we're starving itself. What we have to do is look at the best times, and I really like those times frames in which I mentioned. Now, as we look at that 24-hour fast, we have to ask ourselves, how do we actually really get into targeting those fat cells and really see the best results during that time? Well, we have to take into consideration diet, exercise, and calories. Now, the reason diet is significant is because if you have really high blood sugar and you have really high sugar stores in our body, which is known as glycogen, what essentially happens is when you start doing that fast, you really don't start tapping into the fat cells and start starving those fat cells, because your body has so much energy on board. You know, our body's an energy storing machine. You eat too much food, you eat too many carbs, too much sugar, storage, storage, storage. Your body will store it in the form of fat. It'll also store it in the form of something called glycogen. So if you have a lot of this stored sugar and everything on board, essentially as you start fasting, your body's got a lot to work through before it ever can target the fat cells. However, if you're following a good healthy diet, what's going to happen is that because these stored sugars are low in the body, your body's really going to start tapping into the fat storage much quicker. And so diet's really important. Having a sugar-free diet, a low-carb diet is going to be an important part of this process to see the best results. Now, exercise is significant too, because when you're doing that 24-hour fast, which I'm a big advocate of, what you can actually do is exercise during that time, going for a 30-minute brisk walk, getting in 10,000 steps a day, doing your weight training. This is the cool thing about it, is this is a short enough duration fast that you can really exercise easily without feeling too fatigued in it, and you really push your body to target that fat for energy, and it works out significantly. So we want to make sure that we throw some exercise in, and then even calories is another thing to consider, because as I mentioned before, when you're trying to lose weight, when you're trying to actually target fat on your body, it's very easy to go, well, I can fast and then I can cut calories and then I can fast some more and eat smaller amounts of food. That's not helping anything because your body's starting to think, hey, look, we're trying to stay alive here and you're starving me. And we don't want to do that, right? We want to make sure that we're hitting proper calories on the days we're not fasting. So sure, throwing in that 24-hour fast is significant. And it's great because you will naturally cut calories in that way, in the form of you didn't eat for 24 hours. You probably just skipped 2,000 calories or so. The other days when you're not fasting, you want to make sure that you're hitting your calorie marks because we don't, as I mentioned, want our body to start having these hormone pattern changes and these thyroid changes and all these different changes in their body because we're starting to actually starve ourselves. And it even can start to crash our metabolism a little bit, which isn't healthy. You know, when they did the show The Biggest Loser and they just kept pushing calories in a negative direction and exercising people really hard, they crashed these people's metabolism. And when they went back years later after people did the show, they found, yeah, their metabolisms are still significantly screwed up. As we look at a fast, a 24-hour is a good way to go. We can use these tools right here to get better results, but I think anytime when we're trying to target fat storage, we really want to make sure blood sugar low, insulin's low, because in the absence of blood sugar being high and insulin also being high, we can finally tap into fat stores, and that's why intermittent fasting is so magical. We don't have to go and push those long hours. We can just do these shorter durations fast, like 16 and 8, 24 hours or even 48 hours, and this will allow us to really target fat cells probably the most efficient way. I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski, and if you want to learn more about the details as to step-by-step what happens when you fast, watch this video right here. It's so helpful.